It's part of human behavior to not always act in our best interest, and just throwing money at the problem doesn't change that. As Pierce mentioned about nudge, we're predictably irrational, right? But in our irrationality, we tend to act in predictable patterns. And so rather than trying to, turn the boat and paddle up against the tide in perpetuity, why don't we try to say, maybe let's go with the flow a little bit and just try to redirect our boat in a stream that's productive for all of us. So think about an example. Pierce mentioned some of the concepts. One of the concepts in behavioral economics is hyperbolic discounting, which is a fancy word for saying that we all know there's future benefits out there on the horizon, but in the moment we don't actually take advantage of them. So I know that I should work out, I should get up every day and go to the gym, but honest to God, when it's 5:30 in the morning, the alarm goes off, it's dark, and the temperature is 10 degrees below God awful, right? That prospective heart attack 50 years later is not front of mind, right? Playing with my grandchildren, right, is not front of mind. I just hope the kids I have sleep in and don't wake me up, right? And maybe the $100 that my company was throwing at me to participate in a 12-week exercise program, boy, that $100 seems a long way off, and I don't really care about it. And at best, it's probably creating a moral quandary where I'm starting to say, well, maybe I'll just check the box and I'll exercise later for my $100, which is a perverse incentive. But what if we started to think about a mechanism like behavioral economics that moved the action forward, that moved the action into the moment? What if I started thinking about when that alarm went off and all I wanted to do was pull the cover up on my head, that if I didn't get out of bed, the $100 was debited to my credit card immediately for not doing it, and God forbid, went to some antithetical charity which ran totally counter-purpose to my moral compass. Or that the fact that I didn't get out of bed, all the friends and colleagues that I'd made a social contract with would see that I'd been slacking off for 5 days in a row. So we've done a lot with this in true application, right? So it's not just theory for us. It's actually what can you do, what can you achieve? So we've applied this in a number of different ways. One of the things we've done is we stole a page out of Pierce's playbooks on status quo bias and applied what we knew about retirement planning and opt-in and opt-out to plan design choice, right? So like many employers, we'd offered CDHP products, we'd surveyed our employees. They said, I want lower premiums, I'm willing to take more of an interest in my health and do more. And we only had about 20% enrollment in our CDHP plan. We tried all the typical vehicles, increased communications. We even tried to bribe them. Sorry, Roger, that didn't work either. But when we did a simple status quo bias impact, we moved our engagement rates from 25 to 80% in one single year. In many of the health and wellness metrics that Roger mentioned, we've had similar success using behavioral economics. Again, because we don't have the money to pay for all this, we see our historical engagement rates around 75 to 80%. Our biometrics continue to improve. We've also done a lot of work on choice architecture, as Pierce mentioned, in building environments, building healthy cafeterias, healthy vending machines that go beyond just putting healthy food options out and putting little green leaves or little red hearts next to them, but actually starting to think about how healthy choices are actually positioned, stealing lessons that we've learned from the consumer product segment. And when we put healthy items in vending machines, we put them in the upper right-hand corner, we put them at eye level because we know that's the natural bias of human beings to purchase in that way, and play pricing games and things like that. So we've had a lot of success. We've certainly had failures too, but we learn and move on. So where are we going next? We're trying to take these lessons outside of just classic health and wellness into our chronic care management programs, into our value-based purchasing programs, and really starting to think too a lot more about the social network effect of health and wellness, and really starting to think about how we apply programming and how we apply incentives that are more geared on what we do together rather than just what we do individually, because we do recognize that health and health behaviors are viral and they can spread.